Every man who built his life on love eventually watched it burn. Only the man who builds his own kingdom survives. So which are you? A king or a hostage? Let me tell you a dangerous secret. A heresy whispered in the torchlit corridors of power. A truth so sharp, it has been carefully blunted by centuries of poets and balladeers. The secret is this. Love is a currency for peasants. It is a fickle, unreliable, and ultimately worthless foundation upon which to build any kind of power. And the game of desire, my friend, is entirely about power. You have been taught to seek love. You have been told it is the ultimate prize, the great validator of your worth. You pursue it like a starving man chasing a mirage, offering up your loyalty, your resources, your very soul in exchange for the sweet, intoxicating nectar of her affection. You want to be loved. Machiavelli, that clear-eyed Florentine who understood the grimy mechanics of the human soul better than any priest, would have pitied you. He would have seen you not as a lover, but as a foolish mercenary who has pledged his sword to a notoriously unreliable paymaster. In The Prince, he poses a timeless question. Is it better to be loved or to be feared? The wise prince, he concludes, would wish to be both. But since the two rarely coexist, it is much safer to be feared than to be loved. Why? Because love, he writes, is preserved by the link of obligation which, owing to the baseness of men, is broken at every opportunity for their advantage. But fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails. Now, let us replace his archaic terms. Let us substitute respect or even a dread of loss for his stark fear. The equation remains unchanged. Her love for you is a bond built on the shifting sands of her feelings, her moods, her immediate needs. It is a fair-weather allegiance that will shatter the moment a better opportunity. A more exciting man, a more stable provider, a more thrilling emotional experience presents itself. Her respect for you, her fear of losing access to your world, that is a bond of steel. That is the foundation of a true and lasting power. There is a grim story told by the cynical old merchants of Genoa. They speak of two captains. The first, Captain Bellini, was beloved by his crew. He shared his rations, sang with them, and knew all their names. The second, Captain Falco, was a man of cold distance and ruthless efficiency. He was respected for his skill, but never loved. In a violent storm, both ships were damaged. Captain Bellini pleaded with his crew to make repairs out of their love for him. They hesitated. Weighing their affection against the danger, Captain Falco simply gave his orders, and the crew obeyed without question, not out of love, but out of a deep-seated understanding that Falco was their only chance of survival, and that his displeasure was more terrifying than the storm itself. Bellini's ship sank. Falco sailed on. You have been trying to be Captain Bellini. You believe your kindness, your attentiveness, your emotional availability are assets. In the cold calculus of desire, they are often liabilities. They signal that your well-being is dependent on her approval. You are placing the keys to your emotional kingdom in her hands and praying she is a benevolent ruler. But human nature, as Machiavelli knew, is not fundamentally benevolent. It is fundamentally self-interested. The first step toward making her chase you is to abandon the goal of being loved entirely. You must surgically remove that cloying, needy desire from your heart. Your new objective is not her affection. It is her respect. A respect so profound, it borders on a quiet, thrilling fear. The fear of being excluded from your world. The fear of losing the value you represent. The fear that if she were to leave, her life would be demonstrably poorer for it. while yours would continue on its unwavering trajectory. This is not achieved through cruelty or malice. It is achieved through the cultivation of a superior and independent value. The man who is a rock is more respected than the man who is a pleasant stream. The stream can be diverted, dammed, or ignored. The rock must be contended with. It has a gravity of its own. Modern neuroscience, in its fumbling way, is just now catching up to these ancient truths. Studies on mate selection from the last few years consistently show that while women consciously value traits like kindness and warmth, their unconscious patterns of attraction often track with markers of status, competence, and psychological dominance. In other words, the very traits that inspire respect and a healthy fear of loss. Her conscious mind wants the nice guy. Her primal instincts want the king. You must stop being a peasant begging for the queen's love. You must become a neighboring king whose power is so self-evident that she desires an alliance out of her own strategic self-interest. The chase begins not when you run faster towards her, but when you turn and begin to walk with absolute, unshakable purpose toward the throne of your own life. So I ask you this, you who have poured out your soul like cheap wine in the hopes of intoxicating her, what if the thing she truly craves is not the taste of your love, but the terrifying, thrilling sobriety of your power? To be everywhere is to be nowhere. To be constant is to be forgotten. I have seen it in the courts of princes and in the dimly lit corners of cheap cafes. The fatal error of the aspiring man. He captures a flicker of her interest, and in his panic to keep it, he smothers it. He becomes a flood. He texts constantly. He is always available. He lavishes her with a Niagara of attention, validation, and presence. He believes he is showing his devotion. What he is actually doing is demonstrating with absolute clarity that he has nothing better to do. He is proving that his time, his focus, his very being is a cheap and abundant commodity. Machiavelli, in his cold-blooded treatise on power, understood a fundamental law of human nature that applies as much to the bedroom as it does to the battlefield. Scarcity creates value. That which is rare is coveted. That which is ever present is taken for granted. A king who walks among his people every day ceases to be a mystical figure of authority. He becomes a familiar, flawed man named Charles or Louis. A lover who is always there, always eager, always available, ceases to be an object of thrilling desire. He becomes a comfortable, predictable utility, like a favorite chair. And no woman ever felt a surge of frantic, desperate passion for a chair. Your attention is your kingdom's most precious resource. It is your gold, your spice, your silk, and you are giving it away for free to anyone who will have it. You are holding a fire sale on your own soul. The Machiavellian strategy is not to give more, but to give less, and to make every moment of your presence a deliberate, calculated, and impactful event. Imagine two artists in Renaissance Florence, both seeking the patronage of a powerful Medici duchess. The first artist, a man of modest talent but immense eagerness, visits her palazzo every single day. He brings her sketches, he compliments her taste, he offers to repaint her frescoes. He becomes a fixture, a part of the daily routine. The second artist, a man of rumored genius, is a recluse. He remains shut away in his studio. Once a season, he sends a single cryptic note to the Duchess, not asking for anything, but hinting at the revolutionary masterpiece he is creating, a work that will redefine beauty itself. Which artist occupies the Duchess's thoughts? Which one becomes an object of obsessive curiosity? It is not the man who is always there, offering his wares like a common street vendor. It is the man who is absent, the man whose value is wrapped in mystery and scarcity. His silence is more compelling than the other man's constant chatter. You must learn to become the reclusive artist of your own life. This means cultivating a purpose, a mission, so consuming and so important to you that it naturally relegates her to a secondary position. This is not a trick. It is not a game of pretending to be busy. It is the real, authentic, and sometimes painful work of building a life of such substance that you genuinely are busy. Your absence from her is not a punishment. It is a natural consequence of your presence at the forge of your own ambition. The science of our own time has given us new names for these old Machiavellian tactics. They call it intermittent reinforcement. The psychologists, bless their clipboards, have proven it is the most powerful behavioral conditioning principle in existence. It's the engine of the slot machine and the secret to the addictiveness of the social media feed. A reward that is given consistently and predictably loses its power. A reward that is given randomly, intermittently, creates a state of frantic, obsessive craving. Your constant, predictable attention is a steady, boring salary. Your unpredictable attention, a sudden burst of intense focus followed by a period of focused, purposeful absence, is the jackpot that keeps her pulling the lever. Studies emerging over the past year, in this very year of 2025, have shown that the brain's dopamine systems respond most powerfully not to pleasure itself, but to the anticipation of an uncertain pleasure. You must become the master of that uncertainty. This is a path that requires immense self-control. It is a form of emotional and psychological asceticism. When every instinct in your body, conditioned by the romance novels of our culture, is screaming at you to text her, to see her, to reassure her of your interest, you must have the discipline to put down the phone and turn your focus back to your work, your art, your mission. You must be willing to risk losing her in the short term to gain her utter, unconditional respect in the long term. This is the strange, empowering hope embedded in this cold strategy. In learning to manage the scarcity of your presence for her, you will accidentally stumble upon the abundance of your own life. You will build a world so interesting that her presence becomes a delightful addition, not a desperate necessity. So I dare you, you who are so quick to answer her every call, the next time you feel that needy urge to reach out, to offer your attention like a beggar offering a tin cup. What would happen if you did nothing at all? What if you, instead, fed that moment of your life not to her, but to the hungry fire of your own becoming? A man who is afraid to hurt a woman's feelings is a man who is terrified of his own power. Imagine a man tending a beautiful, prized rose bush. One of the branches grows sick, a black rot creeping up its stem. The sentimental gardener cannot bear the thought of cutting it. He applies soothing balms. He whispers encouragement. He waters it with his own tears. He feels virtuous in his kindness. And he watches as the rot spreads inevitably and consumes the entire plant. A different man, a wiser man, sees the same rot. He feels a pang of regret, but he acts without hesitation. He takes a pair of sharpened shears and makes a swift, clean, brutal cut, severing the sick branch entirely. The bush recoils. It is wounded, but it lives. And the next season, it blooms more magnificently than ever. Which of these men are you? You have been taught that kindness is the highest virtue, that your primary duty is to ensure her comfort, to validate her feelings, to be a source of unending warmth and support. This is the sentimental gardener's folly. This is the path to a slow, creeping death of all respect. Machiavelli knew that a ruler who cannot bear to be cruel when necessary is a ruler who will soon have no kingdom to rule at all. He writes, "A prince so long as he keeps his subjects united and loyal, ought not to mind the reproach of cruelty, because with a few examples, he will be more merciful than those who through too much mercy allow disorders to arise, from which follow murders or robberies. Let us translate this from the battlefield to the bedroom. Your relationship is your kingdom. Her respect is your subjects' loyalty. The disorders are her testing of your boundaries, her displays of disrespect, her emotional manipulations, her casual disregard for your principles. The man of too much mercy, the modern nice guy, allows these disorders to fester. He forgives everything. He accommodates every whim. He avoids confrontation at all costs. He believes he is being kind. He does not realize he is teaching her, through his infinite patience, that his rules are meaningless, his boundaries are imaginary, and his anger is a toothless dog. He is breeding chaos, and chaos breeds contempt. The cruel prince, the wise man, understands that some lessons can only be taught by the sharp, clean sting of consequence. This is not about being abusive or malicious. It is the benevolent cruelty of the surgeon's knife. It is the willingness to say no and mean it. It is the strength to enforce your standards, even if it causes her immediate discomfort or anger. It is the quiet, unshakable resolve to walk away from a situation that is beneath you. It is the act of letting her experience the full, natural, negative outcome of her own poor choices, without you rushing in to save her from it. There is a stark tale told in the cold, windswept steppes of the Kievan Rus. A powerful boyar, a lord of great renown, had a prized gerfalcon, a creature of lethal beauty and skill. His only daughter, willful and spoiled, begged to fly the bird. He forbade it, explaining that she lacked the discipline. One day, she defied him. She took the falcon from its mew, and in her inexperience, she let it fly into a storm, where it was lost forever. The boyar's heart broke, but his face remained like stone. He did not yell, he did not comfort her tears. He simply said, "The price of your disobedience is the silence where a falcon's cry used to be," and barred her from entering the mews for a full year. She hated him for it. She saw him as a monster. But in that long, quiet year of her exile, watching the empty perch day after day, she came to understand the true meaning of consequence, of value, of respect for a power greater than her own whims. His calculated cruelty was the greatest act of love he had ever shown her, for it forged character in her where his kindness had only ever nurtured arrogance. Your reluctance to be cruel is not a sign of your moral superiority. It is a sign of your fear. You are afraid that if you enforce a boundary, she will leave. You are afraid that if you show your displeasure, she will withdraw her affection. Your kindness is a hostage negotiation strategy, and the hostage is your own desperate need for her approval. The strange paradoxical hope is that this calculated cruelty is the very thing that makes her feel safe. A woman's instincts are not drawn to a world of endless, formless mercy. They are drawn to structure, to strength. To a man whose principles are so solid, they become the walls of the city, a predictable and safe container within which she can be free. Your willingness to be the bad guy, to be the unshakable enforcer of your own law, demonstrates to her on a primal level that you are a man of substance, a man who can be relied upon, a man whose yes means something, because his no is absolute. So I accuse you, you who are so quick to forgive, so eager to soothe. Is your mercy a genuine gift from a place of strength? Or is it the desperate strategy of a man so terrified of being left alone that he would rather let his own kingdom burn to the ground than risk a single moment of her displeasure? To be only a lion is to be a fool. To be only a fox is to be a coward. To be both is to be a prince. Imagine a beast from a forgotten mythology. It has the body of a magnificent lion, all coiled muscle and undeniable, earth-shaking power. But its eyes? They are the eyes of an ancient fox, glittering with cunning, seeing every trap, understanding every motive, missing nothing. This creature, this beautiful, terrifying synthesis of force and intellect, is the ideal that Machiavelli set for his prince. And it is the ideal that you must strive for if you wish to move beyond the petty games of affection and into the grand theater of lasting desire. You have been told to be one thing: be strong, be smart, be kind, be ambitious. Society loves to offer you a simple, one-dimensional costume, but the world and a woman's heart is a complex and dangerous landscape full of wolves and traps. Machiavelli knew this. A prince, he wrote, needs to know how to be a beast. He ought to choose the fox and the lion, because the lion cannot defend himself against traps, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. The lion is your raw power. It is your unwavering purpose, your non-negotiable boundaries, your capacity for the benevolent cruelty we have spoken of. It is the core of steel that she must feel is always there. It is your ambition, your discipline, your ability to provide and protect. A man without a lion is a pathetic creature. He's all wit and no substance. He is easily dismissed, a charming jester in the court of more powerful men. He cannot defend her or himself from the wolves of the world. He inspires no respect, only a fleeting, maternal pity. The fox is your social intelligence. It is your subtlety, your charm, your ability to read the currents of a room. It is the cunning that allows you to understand her tests without becoming reactive to them. It is the wisdom to know when to speak and when to be silent, when to advance and when to feign retreat. A man without a fox is a clumsy brute. He walks into every trap laid for him. His strength is predictable and easily outmaneuvered. He may be strong, but he is a fool, and a woman will tire of a fool, no matter how powerful. The average man commits to one animal and neglects the other. The nice guy is all fox. He is accommodating, he tries to be clever, he is terrified of a direct confrontation with wolves. The alpha male caricature is all lion. He is aggressive, he is direct, but he is often socially clumsy, emotionally ignorant, and easily manipulated by a clever fox. Both are incomplete. Both are vulnerable. The truly captivating man, the Machiavellian prince of desire, is a seamless, unpredictable fusion of both. In conversation, he is the fox, playful, witty, elusive. He never gives a straight answer where an intriguing question will do. He parries her tests with humor. He creates an aura of mystique. But in his actions, in the way he pursues his life's mission, in the way he enforces his boundaries, he is the lion. His no is absolute. His purpose is immovable. His strength is not a topic of conversation. It is a self-evident fact, a low hum of power beneath the charming surface. She must never be entirely sure which one she is dealing with at any given moment. This unpredictability is the key. It creates a state of permanent, low-grade tension and fascination. When she is with you, she feels the warmth and playfulness of the fox. But she never forgets the cold, hard steel of the lion that lies beneath. It is like dining with a beautiful, tamed panther. It may be purring in your lap, but you are exquisitely and thrillingly aware of its claws and its power. This is what generates ultimate respect. She understands that your kindness is a choice, not a necessity. Your charm is a tool, not a plea. There is a legend of a mythical king in ancient Ireland who held his throne for 50 years without a single rebellion. His secret was said to be 2 rings he wore. On his right hand, a ring with the sigil of a fox, which he would touch when listening to his advisors, reminding himself to seek out deceit. On his left hand, a ring with the sigil of a lion, which he would touch when issuing a decree, reminding himself to act with unwavering force. His genius was not in being one or the other, but in his perfect moment-to-moment discernment of which was required. You must cultivate this same discernment. When she is testing you with a playful jab, respond as the fox. When she is crossing a genuine boundary, respond as the lion. When you are planning your future, think like the fox. When you are executing your plans, work like the lion. This is a lifelong discipline. It is the art of becoming a multifaceted man, a man of dangerous depths and surprising grace. So, I ask you a simple riddle. Look at your own life, your own responses, your own nature. The world is full of traps and wolves. Which are you? The beast that is caught? Or the beast that is feared? Or are you still just the lamb, hoping that neither will find you? The goal is not to make her chase you. The goal is to build a world she would be a fool not to want to inhabit. And so we arrive at the final, most secret chamber in this dark palace of strategy. We have spoken of fear and respect, of scarcity, of cruelty, of the fox and the lion. These are the tools of the prince, the weapons and armor required for the brutal game of power and desire. But the greatest secret of Machiavelli is this: the ultimate power is to no longer need to play the game at all. The entire project of making her chase you is still a trap. It is a more sophisticated, more dignified trap than being the one who chases. But it is a trap nonetheless. Because your actions, however clever, are still being defined by her. You are still reacting to her, still formulating your strategy with her as the objective. You are still a prince warring for a neighboring territory. The final, transcendent stage of power is to become the territory itself. A self-contained, self-sufficient, and utterly indifferent kingdom. Your goal is not to win her. Your goal is to build a life of such profound meaning, purpose, and integrity that her presence or absence becomes a matter of secondary importance. You are no longer the strategist, trying to manipulate the pieces on the board. You are the board, the city, the kingdom itself. The walls are your principles. The rivers are your passions. The fields are your work. The treasury is your character. There is a Stoic legend about a master architect in ancient Rhodes who was commissioned to build the most magnificent temple in the world. He was given a flawless, fist-sized diamond, the star of the sea, to be its centerpiece. For years, the architect obsessed over the diamond. Every column, every archway was designed to accentuate its beauty. His life revolved around a single, glittering point of external value. One night, a thief stole the diamond. The architect was shattered. His life's work was meaningless. He fell into despair. But after months in the darkness, a new thought ignited in his mind. What if the temple itself was the jewel? He tore up his old plans. He redesigned the entire structure based on principles of pure form, of strength, of harmony, of light. He forgot the diamond. He fell in love with the work itself, the hewing of stone, the raising of columns. He built a masterpiece of such breathtaking, self-contained perfection that it needed no centerpiece. Years later, the old thief, hearing tales of this legendary temple, returned. He was so moved by its beauty that he offered the diamond back. The architect, now an old peaceful man, took the priceless gem, smiled, and placed it in a small, unremarkable offering bowl in a side chapel. The temple was already complete. You must stop building your life around the diamond of her approval. You must become the temple. The hard, lonely, glorious work we have spoken of. The path of the hunter, the cultivation of the lion and the fox, the mastery of your own inner world. This is the building of your temple. You do it not to impress her, not to attract her, not to make her chase you. You do it for the sake of the building itself. You do it because you have fallen in love with the act of your own becoming. When you reach this state, a strange alchemy occurs. Your indifference, which was once a strategy, becomes a genuine state of being. And this genuine, unforced, and peaceful indifference is the most powerful aphrodisiac in the known universe. Why? Because a man who does not need anything from a woman is the only man a woman can truly trust. He is the only man whose kindness is not a manipulation. He is the only man whose company is a gift, not a transaction. He is the only man who can offer her the one thing her instincts truly crave, a world more solid than her own shifting emotions. She will feel the gravity of your world. She will sense the order, the purpose, the unshakable foundations, and she will feel a profound desire to enter it, to be a part of it, not because you have laid a trap for her, but because you have built a city on a hill, and its light is its own irresistible invitation. The chase, if it happens, will be a natural byproduct of your own magnificent solitude. It will be an echo of the work you have done on yourself. And by the time it comes, you will find it is a pleasant but non-essential piece of music in the grand symphony of your own life. This is the ultimate Machiavellian victory, not to conquer the neighboring kingdom, but to make your own kingdom so prosperous, so beautiful, and so strong that the other rulers come to you, seeking an alliance. You will have won the game by building a world where you no longer need to win. So, I leave you with this final, quiet question. Are you building a trap to catch a prize? Or are you building a temple worthy of a god?